Hi there and welcome in this second onboarding video that fits in the context of the Microsoft Sales Mastery Program, a training program developed by me, Hans de Meyer, and my colleague Claudia Simon. I hope you took some time to watch the first episode of our onboarding series entitled From Zero to Cloud Hero, in which I brought you back to the early 80s with desks at offices where no computers were visible and not even existing, and I guided you through what happened in the past decades to get where we are now. And that is the situation we are going to highlight in episode 2. The purpose is to make you kind of familiar with how all the Microsoft solutions fit together and also where they fit in the reality of your customers. And this will be very useful if you are maybe a rookie in the field, or if you would like to be refreshed a little bit about how broad the portfolio is, what are the advantages of moving to the cloud, and how Microsoft offers a very comprehensive and trusted solution. Are you ready for the journey? Okay. Now, episode 2 brings us at a customer site. Here you see a little bit what the office looks like in the inside. But what we are dealing with is a customer who has headquarters, who has some offices on the site, some home workers. They use the internet, of course, not only for email, etc., but also for some third-party applications. And obviously they have users, they have email, they have data, they have devices, and they have loads of software they manage. And so far they have always done things on-premise. That's what you see here. Lots of servers, lots of storage, lots of redundancy for backups, lots of redundancy for power, security that they have to take care of, all kinds of management tools in let's say an environment that works, but that is liable for improvement. Our customer does nothing different than most of your customers. In one way or the other, they create value, okay? They build something or they deliver services. They have to work together to give form to these products, which then they will market. And of course, they target customers who afterwards will buy the solutions. And then, of course, these customers have to be taken care of. That's where their money comes from. And in order to make sure this happens, they have loads of activities from R&D to communication to marketing, etc. And in support of these activities, they will invest in resources. So far, they have been investing in resources mainly on-premise, and what we are going to discover is where the value of the Microsoft Cloud is. Now, just to make things maybe a little bit clear for you if you're really new, let's say that one of the activities is visit customers. So you have to move from point A to point B. Our customer currently buys cars. They invest several tens of thousands of euros in cars, which they then write off. And now some of these cars tend to be used longer than it would actually be advisable. This leads to situations in which certain cars are no longer allowed into certain city centers. Every now and then they break down and they don't measure up with all the security standards that are currently imposed on modern vehicles. But our customer invested money in it and they want to write it off as long as possible, even if this entails security risks or other practical inconveniences. Our customer could also opt to lease cars or to rent cars and add the services that come with it. And also be able to exchange the cars if requirements want this to happen. I need a big car, I need a smaller car, I need a truck, etc. This flexibility would definitely help them to support their activities in the field of commerce. Well, we are not car vendors, obviously, but transpose this back onto IT and you have like the same way of reasoning. Our customer, who is currently buying lots of licenses, buying lots of hardware and rolling it out and using it as long as possible, is now very gradually discovering the cloud. And the cloud is not something they point at when they talk about clouds, it's the reference to a worldwide series of data centers. And Microsoft at this very moment is one of the biggest players in the market, with tens of data centers spread all over the world. These are highly secured buildings in which, as you can see, they have like tons of IT stapled up and secured. Now we all know that Microsoft is one of the biggest players, if not at this moment the number one player. So it's obvious that they are under continuous attack. And Microsoft cannot have it that they would be in the news, that they were hacked, that one of their data centers was broken into. So they have put in place a very comprehensive, unprecedented array of security tools and measures to protect this entire infrastructure. And the benefit of choosing Microsoft as a cloud partner is that you as a customer, you can also benefit from all of this knowledge. And you find it integrated in what we call secure by design solutions in everything that you choose within these data centers, whether it's infrastructure, platform solutions, software as a service, security. The constant value throughout everything that is hosted in here is that Microsoft provides a very high level of security by design. Now, what does that mean for our customer? Well, as you've seen on the previous slide, the users, well, they are now using software, sometimes a bit of obsolete software. So the first thing our company is going to do is move the productivity tools to a software as a service solution offered by Microsoft and called Microsoft 365. You know, there are flavors. There is Office 365, there's Microsoft 365 that comes in basic, standard and business premium edition, but also the enterprise flavors with an E3 and an E5 flavor. All of them at the basis do the same, but the higher you climb, the more features and functions you will have. Far beyond the ones that you would typically associate with software as a service, being Word and PowerPoint and Excel. It also comes with, again, an integrated set of security features that will help the users to work in a continuously secured and permanently available environment. So that's where Microsoft 365 comes in. It's subscription-based, fixed fee per month, no matter how intense you would use the software. One of the advantages of moving to Microsoft 365 is that you can also eliminate some of the server workloads that run locally. I'm thinking specifically of Exchange Online or Exchange and SharePoint that can be moved to their online versions. And why would your customer do that? Well, if you work with Microsoft 365 and you keep your files on-prem and you keep your email on-prem, you can hardly use 10% of the real power and the real security that is offered by the solution. So move everything and migrate it to the cloud as well. It takes off a little bit of the burden on-prem to secure and work in a safe way. Now these users, now that they are partially in the cloud, but still partially on-prem, and they also use some third-party software in the cloud, they need to remember a lot of logins, they need to authenticate a lot of times, and that's not convenient for the user, but it also proposes an additional security risk. Passwords that get lost or written down, you all know it. So when they activated Microsoft 365, they also activated a thing called Entra, previously known as Azure Active Directory Services. And Entra is the place where all of your users will now be identified, but not only the users, also the software that is using that, etc. And it's not only limited to Microsoft solutions, so it means that machines, but our users and software will be managed in Microsoft Entra and from there on sent to where they need to be with a secure authentication, whether it's a Microsoft service or a third-party service somewhere in the cloud. So in terms of security, Entra is a must. It starts with multi-factor authentication. You will manage it over there. Maybe you want some conditional access. Is everybody allowed just to log in when they're known? No, there may be exceptions. An unknown device, an unknown location, so you can add conditions to the login. That's where Entra comes in. But there's more than just managing the security of your users. There's also your email and your data on SharePoint and other areas. That is where the Microsoft Defender family comes in. Microsoft 365 comes with the Microsoft 365 Defender suite of families that cover plenty of areas that are mission critical. Users, email, files, both in transit as well as at rest. So the Defender family within Microsoft 365 is your new way of comprehensively securing your entire array of activities. It's also interesting to know that the Defender family goes beyond what is only in Microsoft 365, and there are Defender solutions for specific Azure workloads, there are Defender solutions for specific server workloads, but if you hear the name Defender, you know that you're referring to a comprehensive set of security tools at Microsoft. Now you have lived on another planet if you have not yet heard talking about artificial intelligence, and lots of people are also looking forward to how to integrate things like Copilot within their environment. Now it's something you can do as of tomorrow, but in order to do it in a safe and good way, it's also interesting to have a close look at your data and how your data is not only managed but also governed. Do you have to buy a new license for that? No, because Microsoft has something that is called Microsoft Purview, the compliancy tool, and that will help your customers to organize their data. So once they let AI search in the data, this happens in the safest of ways. Of course, Purview has lots of more advantages, but let's stick to the advantages within the AI context because this is really a hot topic today. And obviously, in order to do all this, our users, they are using devices. So computers, phones, and other devices, which also require management. Now, yeah, I know there are loads of third-party tools, but if at Microsoft you hear endpoint security, you know that you are talking about Intune and other series of solutions that will help you to manage all the devices that your users are using. Windows devices, Android devices, Apple devices. Also, the apps that run on these devices will be managed by endpoint security, the Intune family. That's the thing to talk about. All right, so our company now is already, well, with quite some workloads in the Microsoft world. But yet, you see, they still have some servers on-prem, some hardware, they still need to manage some licenses, some client access licenses. And now that they have tasted the advantages of Microsoft 365 and the comprehensive set of security standards that comes with it, they're thinking about lifting and shifting other workloads. It means that they have things that run locally now, they can virtualize them, and they can add them to the cloud. They will not do it in Microsoft 365, of course, they will do it in Azure. And Azure indeed is as part of the data centers that Microsoft hosts, in which you can rent infrastructure services. Consisting of computing power, you need some virtual machines, you need some additional storage for that virtual machines, and if you have multiple virtual machines, you would like to have them in a virtual network. This is all part of the Azure infrastructure as a service. And it will again take away some of the burden that is locally installed and move it into a secure, comprehensively secured environment. Now, once you have these virtual machines up and running and installed, they also need to be operational. And that's where the platform as a service comes in Azure, and Azure is indeed one of the most comprehensive sets of solutions and tools that will help developers and IT managers and you as a partner to set up services and to get the most out of the infrastructure. With regard to security, but also with regard, as you see in the last part, hybrid constellations, everything that has to do with analytics or Internet of Things, with more advanced data management, with developing applications, it's all there. Sometimes I consider the platform services in Azure as a big store where I can enter and just pick the ingredients that I need for a certain scenario and then start playing with it. always knowing that it is fully integrated with my identity management, my device management, and all of the other security measures that I have taken one moment. Another thing that has become clear by now is that our customer is no longer investing money locally. So that was the capital expenditure. It's investing upfront, and they have moved to an operational expenditure, the OPEX, which also offers from a fiscal point of view quite some interesting conditions. If a CEO has to report to the board about EBITDA and other parameters in a company that will make the board of directors happy, well, moving into a sort of a rental subscription model will also add to better results and better figures. But that's one thing. Another advantage for our customer is that they are now much more flexible. Think of the cars. I need a big car, I can just get my smaller car in the leasing company and get a bigger one out. With my IT, I can do the same. I can scale up, I can scale down or scale out. It's all a matter of what the business imposes me to do. And that business, meanwhile, now has resources that are much more powerful in support of my activities. And so obviously the true value for me is in how I will be able to manage all of these activities in a much better way. And now is maybe the moment to start also automating things over there. Things that have been done manually or that were quite complex processes. Maybe we can also streamline it now that we are fully in the cloud. And that's where things like the Microsoft Power Platform will come in. If you hear Microsoft Power Platform, you think about optimizing processes, data flows, data interpretation, and so on. What does it consist of? Well, a Power Automate will automate processes. Instead of clicking 5 times, it will do things in an automated way. Power Apps will help you to create applications, maybe for holiday requests, expense reports, or much more complex things. Power BI will give you the possibility to analyze your data in a much richer way with visual support, graphs, and ways to have much better decisions right at your fingertips. And the Power Virtual Agent is meanwhile revamped into Microsoft Copilot Studio, and that's where AI comes in. And this allows you to create intelligent chatbots on your data, could be customer support, could be learning, etc., etc. So obviously everything that is AI related comes in here too. And a company who is not envisioning AI at this very moment is a company that will definitely lag behind within maybe 1 year or so. So this will help them to streamline processes, but they don't have to develop everything themselves. When it comes to sales and marketing and customers, Microsoft has already a set of comprehensive tools, and these belong to the Microsoft Dynamics family. Now, as you can see on this slide, it's quite comprehensive. It covers some accounting stuff. It covers marketing activities. It covers field services. It covers customer care, customer management. It has connected stores to it. It allows you to manage projects, to manage supply chains, to manage AR, HR, and so on and so forth. So for the maximum best customer relation management, which is the orange and the blue thing here, Microsoft Dynamics is definitely the pool to go and have a look at to help your customer in finding the building blocks to optimize and maximize their full potential in that area too. And the more your customer standardizes on the Microsoft solution stack, the more they will be ready for artificial intelligence. Indeed, we may know Microsoft Copilot because it's been in the news quite a while with regard to Microsoft 365 and how it's integrated in Word and in Excel. You may have also been playing with the Copilot in the browser, which is also very powerful. But as you can see in this circle, Copilot is omnipresent. In the interactive track, we will definitely deep dive in it, but you find Copilot in Dynamics 365, you find Copilot in Azure, you find Copilot in the development tools. AI is omnipresent and something your customers should be alert for, so it's up to you to inspire them. So now we are very happy, of course, to have brought our customers to this ultimate condition in which security, business continuity, and innovation rule the world. And they can still keep on doing what they do. They will still use the internet. They will still have remote offices, etc. But it will all work in a much safer way. And obviously, as a partner, we will help them to evolve this whole stack of solutions. We've now run through a customer scenario, but another way of looking at the items that we've seen is this little buildup of a house. We have been talking about infrastructure as a service. You as an IT partner can provide managed services to make sure that this infrastructure runs smoothly. We've talked about platform as a service, up to you to support your customer in how to use all of this. Software as a service, with Microsoft 365, we could provide training, we could provide other services in terms of automation. And one argument that is really critical to mention at all moments is the security by design. That's really mission critical to mention at every moment. In our customer journey, we've seen how we can support users by Microsoft Entra, both internal, external users, and even applications that are considered as user. We've seen Intune to manage our apps and our devices. We've seen Purview and other items, Defender and so on, to protect our data. And this is what is leading to an AI-driven, secure, productive, agile, and uninterrupted user experience. Now, honestly speaking, isn't that what your customers want? I would open any conversation with, is this important for you? An AI-driven, secure, productive, agile, and uninterrupted user experience? If the answer is yes, and it probably will be, then you can start telling your story. And in terms of value proposition, obviously, it is by far the most comprehensive set of solutions in one integrated area with a high level of trust. And whether we are talking about security, modern work scenarios, business applications like Dynamics, data and AI, or digital and application innovation, I mean, it's all there. Even the infrastructure part is covered. So this, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of the walk through the Microsoft family and different ways to look at it. The next step in our journey are workshops, interactive workshops focused on value. We will cover Azure, we will cover Copilot, security, and in some regions managed services. And actually, what can you expect? Well, you can expect online interactive role-based workshops, meaning that we will focus on the typical concerns of the CEO, IT, HR, sales and marketing, and how all these resources that we have just run over can help them specifically to support their activities, creating value for them, hence contributing to, well, upselling and selling more value. So I look forward to the workshops with you, and I see you soon. Thanks for watching.